Hey, welcome back to the Rock Insurance Podcast, episode 202, focusing on insurance for restaurants. I'm here with Jim Kolb. My name is Jeremy Now, and we're focused on restaurants and fortunate to have Jim with us. Not only is he the vice president of Lawrence Associates Insurance Agency, but he is also a longtime owner of a restaurant, pig roast, bakery, and ice cream shop here in Rush, New York. We're located up in Greece in Rochester, New York. But hey, Jim, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Jeremy. Awesome to be here.
So as we move forward, having so much experience in the restaurant catering industry, there has to be some ways for people to save money, or there has to be plenty of things that an insurance agent, when they walk into your business, looks for, to make sure that you're up to code and standards, as well as try to find ways to help you save some money. So when I walk in as an insurance agent into your restaurant, what should I be looking for?
Well, first of all, that you meet all the codes. These days, you always have in a local health department inspection, which pretty much watches for cleanliness and equipment in the right position, your food spoilage issues, that sort of thing. So overall, most restaurants are pretty good about that. The insurance man is coming to look at other things, though. Like, for instance, if your hoods are clean and have been inspected, if your fire extinguishers are up to date on their inspection, and also there's no hazards of tripping, broken floor areas, decks that are not maintained properly. That's the key things that they're looking for when they come in to your property for an insurance inspection to hopefully save you some money on new coverages.
Right. So, when I first started in the industry, I was really thrown off by the UL-300 hood. Can you explain that to me a little bit?
Well, there's a special system for the hoods that goes over any of your cooking appliances, and it has to be rated by UL Underwriters Laboratory. There were some older style ones that were outdated, that are now outdated, and you can no longer use. But primarily what it does is there's a bimetal sensor up in the hood, and if the temperature rises above a certain degree, the sprinklers, the system extinguishes the fire by using a chemical that's held in a tank next to the hood. That's the main thing that the insurance companies are very concerned about always, because that's where the primary amount of fires in a restaurant happen, is in the hood and in the ventilation system for that. So they also want it inspected at least every 6 months. Some are a year, but 6 months is best. And they always usually like to see a contract with a cleaner that comes in and cleans your hoods.
Right. So within that maintenance plan for those contracts, if you divulge that information to your insurance agent, that may be one of the things that may help you get a rebate on your insurance. So very important to be cognizant of all those things as you move forward and as you're effectively shopping your insurance needs for your year-to-year basis for your business. Now, as a restaurateur, what are some of the different policy terminology that people should be thinking about when they're looking and shopping for their insurance policy?
Well, restaurants are a little bit different because there's other things that are at risk compared to just a regular business. In general liability, you pretty much have, the slip and falls and bodily injury type issues, property damage and that. But also you have foodborne illness, which if your guest gets sick from your food, you make sure that you have the coverages to cover any claims against you for that. The other thing is the food spoilage. So say your freezer or cooler goes out and you have food spoilage from it, you want to make sure that your policy covers a major food spoilage. If it's, under $1,000, I usually tell my clients not to claim it because in turn, if you make claims on your policy, it does increase your premiums over time. But if it's a major thing, like you lose thousands of dollars, you really need that insurance to cover it. There's also data processing. That's an important thing these days because being on the internet and having exposure to different things of that nature, it's good to have all your computers and electronics covered as well, too. Sometimes, too, fine art. If you have like a sports bar and you have a lot of different items on the walls that you've paid a lot for, you want to make sure that those are covered as well, too. Employee theft is another one. If you catch on your camera's employee robbing you and you cannot recoup your money, your insurance policy can cover that as well, too. Another thing is peak season. Most restaurants have a slow and larger time of the year where their sales are. With a peak season on your policy, you can raise up to 25% during that time of year. And when it reduces, then with that, you have a policy that covers you but not as overly expensive. Another thing is employee liability insurance. If the employee makes a mistake or does something to a customer, you have coverage for that too. And then finally, liquor liability. Depending on what your sales are, that can be a vital piece. You can either go with just beer and wine, or you can go up to, if you have liquor, it's really suggested they have liquor liability.
Right. So your big portion of your insurance policy is going to be your general liability. That is in direct correspondence to the foot traffic coming into your restaurant. And like Jim was saying, the higher traffic times, it might be beneficial to boost that up a little bit. If you're an ice cream store and heavily foot trafficked in the summer, hot summer months, might be good for you to just add a little bit extra to your policy, maybe even add an umbrella to your policy so that, when you get to that point, you're covered and, you hope that nothing happens, but you can't predict what happens in the future. So, hey, this has been Jeremy and Jim with the Rock Insurance Podcast. We appreciate you stopping in to join us and hope to see you again soon.